So, there is something I want to talk to you about when it comes to music, because this is a strange phenomenon that I really want to discuss with you. You can even put this on your channel. This is a new topic. I want to talk about it because this is the weirdest phenomenon that I cannot explain. So, let me explain what I'm talking about here. Have you ever heard an artist or like just a piece of music in general, and you like elements of it, but it just doesn't click for you? You're like, I like pieces of this, but it doesn't work for me, because for the most part with entertainment and music and video games, right off the jump, this is either you know right off the jump that this is either good or it's trash. It's no in between a lot of cases. You know right off the jump when you hear a song or anything of that nature, you know that I like this or I dislike this. But there's this weird phenomenon that I've dealt with that's so far happened to me twice. And I need to know if this has happened to you because it is fucking weird, man. I can't even explain it myself. It is so weird, and that's why I want to talk about it. And I want to know if I'm alone in this or not. So, okay, let me give you an examples. All right. Two artists, Project Pitchfork and Death Stars. Now, Project Pitchfork, when I first found that group, it's like when I heard the song Rain and Lament, I liked elements of those songs, but they just weren't clicking with me. It's like I liked parts of it, but there was something that wasn't clicking, right? But despite that, every now and then I would find myself always going back to Project Pitchfork and those two songs over and over and over and over again. Even though when I first heard it, I didn't get into it. I liked elements of it, and eventually, the more I went back to it and listened to it, I eventually got into it, and I can't explain that. That's so weird to me, dude. Because, like I said, usually with music, when you hear something like, when I listen to MC Juice's album, I'm like, yeah, I don't like this. Or if I listen to a JB album, I'm like, hell yeah, this is fire. But like, this is a weird phenomenon that I don't understand and I cannot explain myself. Like I said, with Project Pitchfork, when I heard Rain and Lament, I liked elements of those songs, but they didn't click with me. But for some reason, even though they didn't click for me, usually music you don't like, you don't go back to it because it's not for you. But it's weird with Project Pitchfork. Every now and then, I would keep going back to Rain and Lament over and over again, trying to get into it, never clicking with it, even though I liked elements of it. But then all of a sudden, one day, when I went back and listened to Rain and Lament, all of a sudden I fell in love with the songs. They clicked with me and I became a fan. And that is such a strange phenomenon to me, man. And it's happened again recently with another group. I don't know if you ever heard of this band. But there's a band called Death Stars. They're a goth band. Fashion-wise, they kind of look like a combination of Marilyn Manson and Motley Crue. Now, Death Stars, I knew about this band for a while because I used to be friends with this guy on Facebook who was hardcore into Marilyn Manson, and he showed me Death Stars. And Death Stars is a band that I've known about since, I want to say, 2015, 2016. And much like Project Pitchfork, this Death Stars group, right? For the longest time, when I checked out their music and I first heard it, I liked elements of it, but it never clicked with me. My main issue was the vocal style and the vocalist. I didn't like the vocalist, but I liked the instruments and how creepy they sound and how gothic and Halloween they sounded. But I didn't like the vocalist, And I knew right off the bat, okay, this isn't for me. But as time would pass, just like Project Pitchfork, I would find myself over and over again going back to the Death Stars band and re-listening to them, even though it's clear that I couldn't get into them. And it's like, it happened again where just now I said, you know what, I want to give them another chance. I listened to Death Stars again, and dude, their music is actually starting to grow on me. I'm not saying I'm in love with it, but their music is actually slowly starting to grow on me, where I'm actually starting to like it. And that's such a weird phenomenon, in my opinion, because, like I said, man, with entertainment in general, especially music, when you hear a song, you know whether or not I like this or I don't like this. But what's this phenomenon of something doesn't click for you, but when you listen to it a bunch of times and a bunch of time passes, eventually you get into it? Like, that's such a weird phenomenon. It's happened to me twice. It happened with Project Pitchfork, and it happened with Death Stars. Both of these artists, there was things I liked about them, but their music never clicked for me. But for some reason, I would find myself going back to these artists over and over and over and over and over again, even though it was clear that I didn't like it. And eventually, I was able to get into Project Pitchfork, and now I love those two songs. And then it's the same thing with Death Stars. I couldn't get into Death Stars before, but now their music is starting to grow on me. And that's such a weird phenomenon, man. I can't explain it. And I really would like to hear what you have to say. And I want to know if this has happened to you, because it's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, that's a sensation about music that kind of happens. Those are called sleepers or slow burn type things. That's kind of the situation where you hate it at first, but then it grows on you later and you start to realize, and you're just like, damn, this is actually pretty good, that type stuff. Yeah, that's basically like a sleeper and stuff. And, some of those things happen where an album will come out like in September, but it won't catch on until like May or June or something, and then it'll kind of blow up way later and have that sort of stuff. Like, I know that that's happened to me, but I can't think of too many instances. But for example, there was one rapper, Lil Wayne, when he first blew up back in like the Carter 1, the Carter 2 days. I didn't really like Lil Wayne that much, but I did start to like him as I started having more smoking buddies and that type stuff throughout like 2007. And really, I started overhearing his lyrics and noticing it was kind of like, wow, some of these records, he actually, because I would read in magazines and they would say that he's like a lyrical, he's like lyrical barbed wire, and I was like, well, damn, he can't be that good. I mean, I had only heard like Fireman by him back in those days, but the more I listen, it's like, yeah, he actually is a very stellar lyricist. He had like bars. Lil Wayne can rap and stuff. So, like a huge album by Lil Wayne was the Carter 3, sold 1 million copies first week. Back in those days when rap albums wouldn't sell and everyone would talk about how rap was dead and hip hop is dead and stuff, how Lil Wayne kind of revived it. But I basically kind of caught a second wind of Lil Wayne in 2007, right around the time when he got ready to drop that monumental album. But I think a lot of people had that similar experience to me, just because that was kind of where Lil Wayne became like a household name, was in 2008. But I think a lot of people found him throughout like 2007 stuff. But yeah, that was just kind of one of those moments. And that's pretty cool that you found out about Project Pitchfork and the Death Stars group that way. I do like those moments. Initially I don't, just because I get kind of pissed off because I don't like the songs. But sometimes, like, I guess just like certain events have to happen, and like your mind grows or something like that. You go through growth or something like that, and you come back to it and you mature a little bit more, and then you realize, like, damn, this is pretty awesome. Those are very awkward, and you're right, it is a strange phenomena. I try to avoid it. I try to like it. I really, that's why I don't give too many albums bad scores, because I want to try to like it. But sometimes it's just unavoidable, and it is going to be kind of like a sleeper kind of situation. But yeah, it's fun when that happens.